And we're live. It is Monday. It is the 4th of August. It is the year of our Lord 2025. It is 8 o'clock a.m. Holly is surrounded by a veritable chorus of cacti, and I have a cactus mystery for you. So the other day, as you know, I ordered Mrs. Cactus,
Who's not a
who,
cactus, actually.
well, she may be kind of a sunflower, but we think of her as a cactus. She's certainly a potted plant of some sort. And she is the cactus's paramour. And also, as you could see from the photos that I shared, she lives in Riga, Latvia. She's a saxophonist, a jazz musician. And the thing about Mrs. Cactus is that when I summoned her to Washington to join the Cactus Chorus, I was informed by a shipping company that it would take until August 25th to get here, which I understood, frankly, because Riga's a long way off. And, um, I thought to myself, well, that makes sense because, she's got to take the slow boat from Riga and it might take 25 days to get here. And that's fine. I didn't mind. So I sent her the ticket, and then I got a notice from a shipping company that she was actually coming from Guangzhou in China.
Of course.
And I said to myself, I've been had. The
Yeah.
cactus faked those pictures of Riga
Mm-hmm.
and, in fact, might be a double agent. He might be working for the Chinese. And
Obviously.
I would never have known but for the fact that his girlfriend, the paramour, aka Mrs. Cactus, um, is clearly in China. I don't know what to make of it. If you guys can unravel the mystery, let me know. In the meantime, you know, we're just going to sit and wait for her. We will interrogate her brutally when she arrives. Uh, and until then, we're just going to sit here and scratch our heads. Um, folks, yeah, we're scratching our heads. Um, folks, look, the sun is shining. It is a gorgeous day outside, and the weekend has been delicious. Holly and I and Holly's husband, who I don't think we name on the show. Do we name Kevin?
I think we do. We just don't talk about where he's working.
I see. Okay. Yeah, so Kevin and Holly and I went to our deranged sadistic workout
Torture
yesterday
chamber.
evening, torture chamber, and then we had dinner outside
It was
at a
gorgeous.
beer garden, and we didn't have a coup. Don't worry. And this morning, according to the my phone, it is 63 degrees outside, which is,
Crazy.
yeah, which is
Insane.
just lovely. So the sun is shining, the birds are chirping. Guys, it's going to be a great freaking week. And Cactus Chorus?
Let's see.
You're watching Dog Shirt TV, a forking revolution in morning television. You're watching Dog Shirt TV, a forking revolution in morning television.
You are watching Dog Shirt TV, and it is a freaking revolution in morning television. And one of the revolutionary features, of which there are many, is that sometimes I don't know that Holly's going to be on the show until moments before the show because while she told me last night at the beer garden that she was going to be on the show, she did not respond to my morning "Who's showing up today" text. Um, I don't think you did. And so I was,
I did not respond.
despite knowing that Holly was going to be here from last night, was pleasantly surprised by her presence, um, which I think is good fun, to be pleasantly surprised by something that you know is going to happen. And another one of the revolutionary features, which, as I like to emphasize, there are more than a few, is that sometimes I completely lose my train of thought and have no idea what I was going to say. All of which is a long winded way of saying that we are not allowed to have fun anymore. But Nastia tells me she is planning to show up today.
Good.
And so we're going to do a little bit of kava i vino,
No idea what that
coffee and
means.
wine.
Oh, okay.
Kava is coffee in Ukrainian, and vino is wine, as it is in just about every language other than ours. Holly, what is on your mind this morning?
Well, I started receiving quite a few notes and pictures and um things from people over the last couple days that apparently people, including Joel, our friend Joel here on Dog Shirt TV, that they have people are receiving my book in the mail early
Wow.
from
Wow.
Amazon. Yes, there's Nastia. Hello, and Ava.
It's
Hello.
Ava.
Hi.
Hi.
Привет, Ava. Hi.
Is she
Ava,
wearing
Ava looks
pearls? Is she wearing
confused.
pearls? She looks like she's wearing a necklace of some kind. Yep.
I don't think Nastia can hear us.
Oh. Oh. All right.
Привет.
We'll just wave and continue talking. Anyway, people have started receiving the books, which is very exciting. One annoyance is that Amazon is sending out the books, but are still not opening the portal for reviews. So I'm also getting a lot of notes from people saying they want to review the book. They got an advance copy and they're not able to do that in Amazon. And I'm here to tell you that you can do it on Goodreads and Barnes and Noble as of now. And I think on the official publication date, which is August 19th, then I think Amazon will open up at that point. And I do request that people do reviews because what I fear is going to happen with this book is that the haters will come for it, and there will be some negative reviews by people who didn't even read the book and who just don't like the idea of the book. And so maybe I'm being paranoid about that, but that's what I fear is going to happen. And so I would really like people who actually read the book to write reviews. So if that's you, if you got the book in the mail, is Joel on here this morning? He could come and show
So
the book.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Number one, um, uh, when are we doing the Politics and Prose event?
Well, I was going to ask you the same. We can do it. I think we should wait until August 19th. So I think I told you I'm going to Grand Rapids for the actual launch with Kristen Dumais. She's doing my launch event with me.
Can you hear us now, Nastia?
Yes, I'm using my data now, so.
Ooh,
Oh.
Ava has pearls on. She looks very elegant. Anyway, but maybe sometime. So I'm just going quick trip. So I back on the 20th, maybe on the 21st or the 22nd. But yeah, the logistics of this I defer to you. I assume we're gonna like sneak in there with with a laptop and like
It's
tape
not a
it.
question of sneaking in. They have a cafe
Okay, we're gonna go in
where
there.
lots of people use laptops, and we're going to Nastya, I'm going to mute you when you're not talking, okay? Um, uh, Lots of people use laptops. It's allowed to use laptops. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to go in there, order a cup of coffee, and do a live stream from it. It's going to be perfectly obnoxious, and but I don't think it breaks any rules. And we're going to invite lots of people to come buy coffee at Politics and Prose, and you know um, buy along. And we're not going to, Politics and Prose is owned by an old friend of mine.
Uh-huh.
We're not going to make trouble for Politics and Prose.
No, in
But
fact, we hope to boost their sales.
exactly,
Maybe
we
they have the book on hand. I don't know if they will or not, because if I wasn't good enough for their events, I don't know if I'd be good enough for their shelves.
well,
But
we might also do it from right in front of Politics and Prose so that we have the sign in the background, and that would be, from the street, which would be a little bit less confrontational, but also more obvious what we're doing. And it's going to be great fun, and it's going to be obnoxious, and it's not going to violate any rules. We're not going to be, we're just going to be using a cafe or a street corner to do a live stream. Um, uh,
so my plug for the cafe is that the other patrons in the cafe might overhear and go and find the book and buy the book.
that's right. That's what's going to happen. It'll be right here. Except we're gonna do this one uh, open for the general public, because the whole idea is to spread the word about Holly's book. So we're gonna do live from Politics and Prose. We might even just do it on Substack, um, uh, and but it's gonna be fun. Uh, all right. Has Nastia's situation stabilized yet?
I'm trying to stabilize it, but Ava wants me to play with her, and I'm a good mother, but I don't want to do that at the moment. So I'm just sitting in her play area and talking to you guys, and she's making me
That's
move around.
Yeah, no, that's fine. What is on your mind this afternoon?
My nanny is on vacation for the week, which means that I'm fucked for the week. And I'm also on vacation. That's not really a vacation because, Um, the good news is that since we started daycare, Alva, do you want to say hi? Say
Let-
hi.
Hi, Ava.
But you're so good at waving, and then when you need to do it, you don't do it. Well, anyway, we started daycare, and for the past few weeks, she's been adjusting and, had her little, trial period, and she would, call for me all the time. So I was literally sitting, in the corner of her daycare's playroom, and I was with her all morning from 9 to 12. And for the past two times that we've gone, including this morning, I just dropped her off at the kitchen for the breakfast and sprinted away. And she was fine for 3 hours for the first
Wow.
time. Yeah, so maybe I'm not totally fucked. I do have 3 hours of free time and work time. But,
So what
I
what is your nanny doing for for her vacation?
think she went to Greece or something.
Oh, like a real vacation?
Well, yeah, she actually went on a trip. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're managing. Also, I moved apartments, which is nice. So we're in a new apartment now. I like it a lot more than the old one. Ava has an enormous broom. Actually, I can show you guys. I don't think that's bad OPSEC, but except I don't know how to change the camera angle here. Anyway, it's like a giant. Oops, it's a giant room. like this bed is gonna go away because we don't need it, and then all of this is just, you know, Ava's play space, and we have to move all of her like toys and stuff here. We haven't done it yet, so anyway.
Pretty good. I have 2 packages of Ava toys to send you.
Yeah, you can keep
That
accumulating them and then just give them on her 18th birthday or something. It's gonna be fine. Maybe she'll use
yeah.
it for her own kids if she has kids.
So, all right. There is discussion in the chat about my situation with respect to the late unpleasantness with the National Park Police. Um, uh, I am going to address it, but I'm not going to address it substantively. I am going to say um, merely the following. There will be disclosures in detail at the appropriate time. I have not forgotten.
You
I
sound like a government employee. Like,
no, I
it's just
sound
like, what's that? What's the name of that response? We cannot confirm nor deny. There's a name for
that's
it.
called a glomar.
Glomar.
Yeah,
Yes.
I am putting it differently. I am saying there will be disclosure at an appropriate time. On advice of counsel, I am not commenting on it right now. However, I will say that when I comment on it, there will be video, there will be audio, there will be pictures. It will be freaking dramatic, and what there will not be is a tearful apology. And there will not be a I am fallen, I am sinful, I am redeemed by the blood of my Savior.
Here's a question though: will you exonerate Donald Trump in exchange for a pardon?
I am not commenting on any of the legal situation of
Got
this.
it.
Can you
And
comment on whether the circumstances of your Ukraine trip have changed or not yet?
the circumstances of my Ukraine trip, as you know, are contingent on some details relative to this.
Right.
And those have not changed yet.
Okay.
Um,
Got it.
I am waiting for certain things to happen. Uh,
The wheels of justice move slowly.
they grind slowly, but they grind very fine. As you can see, I'm very worried about the whole thing. And as you can see also, my principal concern here is the freedom of Lord and Lady Laser, not to mention my cameras. And so hashtag free Azovstal, free Lady Laser, free Lord Laser. Hello, Ava. Hello, Ava. And there will be no $16 million payment. There will be no settlement. And by the way, I just want to say, um, I am cheerful about this whole episode. My only anxiety about it is that I did promise Nastia I was coming to Kiev in the next few weeks, and I need to resolve this before I go to Kiev, or at least find out um, when I am going to resolve it so that I don't accidentally miss a court date. So that is an update. I'm telling you, it is coming. But and also, I would also like to point out that activity has not ceased. The Sunflower Army keeps growing and has been unmolested by the Russians. I think they may be intimidated by my camera setup. They may be intimidated by just the volume of sunflowers.
Or the
Uh,
private property, right?
it's on private property. It's roped off, and the private property thing is cool. Because they know there are cameras there, and they don't know where they are, and so if destroy the sunflowers, you can't like do it really quickly because there are so many of them there, and so uh, I'm activity continues. I've also been working with the estimable Marichka, who is currently, by the way, at Bandura camp, which is kind of awesome. We're going to have her on to talk about Bandura camp when she gets back.
It's
But
the most diaspora thing you could possibly imagine.
yeah, it's
It's not a thing inside Ukraine, but it is a thing in the middle of the United States.
in rural Pennsylvania, they have Bandura camp, and it's pretty awesome. I've been enjoying the videos from Bandura camp. No, I am not going to comment on any aspect, Ben, no, not that one, on the positioning or configuration of the cameras. Um, uh, and so we're working together on a very cool protest that doesn't involve lasers. And because, hashtag free Lord Laser, free Lady Laser. So activity continues. Stay tuned on that when Marichka and Seva get back from Bandura camp, which I just really enjoy saying. There will be more to say.
I have
Anyway,
a topic to propose.
yeah.
Can we talk about Texas? Because I haven't read the news in like a week, and then I listened to the daily about the whole situation, and I'm like
We
shocked.
did it on last week with our friend Deese. Listen to that episode, Nastia. We had a
Okay, well,
veteran
screw me then.
Texas.
Never mind my
Yeah.
topic.
But let's talk about it. What struck you, from Kiev about Texas?
Well, the fact that like a bunch of Democrats got on I'm pretty sure it was a private jet, like a charter, and like fled the state and are now in the state of limbo because they can't come back. And even if they come back in like a month, they will have to leave again if they're choosing to stick to the strategy. So what, they're not entering the state of Texas for a year and a half and paying $1 million in fines while they do that?
This has happened before, by the way. They've done this before.
Yeah, this
really
has happened
Yeah.
before.
This is not a new strategy.
with Democrats specifically.
Yeah. It's always the Democrats because they're the
Someone needs to joke about the Democrats, being the bad word and fleeing from problems and not actually doing anything about it.
No,
well, they can't really do anything, I don't think, other than flee.
I think being in the minority in both chambers in a state legislature really sucks, and you use whatever tactics you have, and the this one actually does slow things down, and so I think there's something to be said for it. It also draws a lot of attention to the issue, and so they're gonna. I actually think it's a reasonably good thing, and particularly if you combine it with the actions of Mr. Newsom, the governor of California, who has promised retaliation for the Texas action in the form of action by the state of California in the opposite direction. I think you're actually seeing something like a coordinated Democratic strategy, however coordinated it if only de facto coordinated. And the strategy seems to be, um, we will take extraordinary measures to prevent this, and if you go forward with it, we can respond. And I actually think that's a pretty good rough and tumble of democracy kind of response. I don't know. What do you think of it, Holly?
Guys,
Yeah, I
I
mean,
need to
obviously
leave. Ripley,
they've done it
sorry, I'm
before.
interrupting you.
Oh,
I'll leave
they've
because we have a diaper situation. And I'll
oh,
come back.
kind of like I think maybe America's having a diaper situation. I don't know. Someone
A
needs to change it.
disaster.
Yeah, someone needs to change our diapers, I think, pretty clearly. I mean, they've done this before I mean, it's not, uh, unless they're gonna like literally stay away until the midterms, which I don't think is feasible. I mean, I don't think they don't, I don't know the numbers. I don't know how many they could get, and I guess it's the quorum issue. It's not just the vote issue. So I think they have such a minority that if there's a vote held, like they're definitely, they can't do anything. So, I don't think they can stay away enough to deny the quorum until the midterms.
Well, the question is whether you could rotate out, right? Um
Yeah, well,
and
that's what I'm saying. I don't know how many need to be away. I don't think it has to be all of them. I don't
right,
know the numbers.
you have to bring down the numbers enough so that there is no quorum. And the question is, could you create a circulation so that enough of them are away, um, in order to keep this going? And by the way, I don't think you have to do it um, until everything, until the midterms. I think you have to do it until the legislature needs to do something urgently enough that you have leverage in conversation. I also think slowing things down. Yeah, John Hawkinson makes a good point that the sessions are
That's
called
true.
for
Yeah.
periods of time,
Yeah.
and
They
so
don't, they sit very short in Texas. They have very little government in
right,
Texas.
it's not a full-time legislature. It's not default in session, and so I think the the goal, slowing things down is valuable in and of itself because you never know what else is going to happen.
Yes,
And
in Texas, they're always doing something terrible. So,
so I think there's value to it. There's also value just to using whatever power is in your arsenal and making clear that you're not going to take stuff like this lying down. And so I think there's a lot to be said for it, which is not the same as saying that I think in the grandest scheme it's going to work. So
right. So,
John cites the New York Times for the idea that this legislative session is only 30 days. Um, and so I look, is it a magic bullet? Of course not. Is it does it have to be a magic bullet for it to be of value? No. And and I think you should throw sand in the gears when you can, and you should also use publicity stunts. God knows I'm not opposed to using publicity stunts to make points. And sometimes when you do that, um, events intervene and um, become plausible. Things become plausible that aren't. So I don't know. I think it's I I I don't see a downside to it.
yeah, I don't see a downside either. I mean, I feel like at this point, they should try anything and everything. And the publicity stunts are for the best. Like even if I know they're threatening them all kinds of retaliation, and the retaliation can be used. Let's say they try to arrest them when they come back. Great, get the cameras there. Have the cameras there when they arrest all the Texas Democrats.
But they can't arrest them and do more to them than just drag them to the session, right?
Ben, I don't know what's possible in Texas. I mean, Texas increasingly is like some sort of rogue state. So who knows? Who knows? They're arresting people are turning in their girlfriends to get bounties for abortions, traveling out of state for abortion. I mean, what is possible in Texas? I think the floor is definitely not a limit. The core of the earth, perhaps.
All right.
Yeah.
So we're for it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm great of Pritzker, the hotel magnate, using his. I mean, you could argue there might be some ethical issues there using his hotels for a political purpose. It's gives sort of
private business.
I mean, it gives a little Mar-a-Lago, convention vibes, but hey, I don't think he's charging them. So, I mean, I think he's giving it to them for free. So there's that.
Yeah, I think as long as I don't think Hyatt should do that. I don't think but for JD Pritzker to buy a bunch of hotel rooms in his own hotel and let legislature pay for them to stay in. I would not suggest they stay in Arkansas, by the way.
Oh, no.
It seems like one thing a Democratic governor could do is invite them to come to Illinois and pledge non-cooperation with Texas efforts to render them back to the state.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it could be a really fun time. They could have a whole little team building thing in the Hyatt. They could get the conference room going and do some trust falls and some art camp. I could go up there and do some art with them,
Or do a book event.
I could do a book event. Yes, for the Texas Democrats. Maybe I should. How do I get that? Jasmine Crockett, contact me. She seems to be their spokesperson, even though she's not in the Texas legislature anymore. I'll come up to Illinois. I'll bring some books. I'll bring some art. We'll have a good time.
Maybe we should do like a book signing and just show up and give them all books.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
pieces of
they're
art.
gonna need to have things to do, I think.
And live stream it.
This sounds really fun. If anybody can, Deese can probably find out where they are. Maybe I'll just show up. Maybe Deese, if you're listening, I'll help me out here. This could be fun. We could do instead of politics and prose, we could go to Illinois and hang out with.
We can do book events at lots of different high publicity locations.
Yeah, we could. It's like a guerrilla book tour.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Next agenda item.
Oh, do you have one?
No, I assume you do. You always show up with agenda.
Why do
items.
I have? I don't have it. I don't actually have.
You don't have an agenda item today?
Well, okay. So first of all, is Joel on here? I haven't seen him here today. I was hoping he'd be on here today and come and show off his book, but I don't think he's on here.
Joel's here.
Joel is on here. Joel, come on, show off the book. I don't know. Have you started reading it? Okay. Anyway, while Joel's collecting himself, so also I don't know about you, Ben, but when I take a trip, it takes about at least double the amount of time of the trip for me to resume my normal life, which I was gone for 3.5 weeks. So that would put me well into September. But I'm very proud of myself. I have done my laundry. I've cooked some meals at my house. I've gotten some groceries. And most importantly, yesterday I sat down and decided, well, first of all, yesterday I did canvassing for Abigail Spanberger, which was quite a workout. Let me tell you, I did it in my very hilly neighborhood, and it was quite a workout. So then I used the momentum of that to like plan out the week and get back to the One Thing campaign, which of course has been on hiatus while I chase lions and elephants and things like that. So I mapped out my whole week and I put it out on social media to keep myself accountable. And yeah, I'm going to do a protest. Apparently, there's a protest along, I think it's on Connecticut, like regularly. So I'm going to go to the rush hour protest and hold a sign. I don't know. You can come, Ben. It could be fun. 5 o'clock on Thursday. I'm going to kick off some more art fundraising, so look for that. I'm gonna tomorrow. I'm back to my National Park Service volunteer post.
Wow.
And not only that, I don't know how I'm. It's unclear how much I should really talk about what I'm doing with the National Park Service. But anyway, because I don't want to be labeled like a partisan hack of a volunteer. But nonetheless, I am volunteering for National Park Service, and I read a huge tome to educate myself about the topic that I'm volunteering on. So, and then what else? I'm doing some community service. Yeah, so whole week's planned out. I just got to do it all. I'm signed up for canvassing. If anybody is in the DC area or not and just wants to come in to DC and canvass for Abigail Spanberger with me, I'm probably going to be doing it a lot of weekends. And I won't say it's necessarily fun, but it could be funner if I wasn't by myself.
Super cool. Nastia, are you back or only sort of back? Well, I take that as only sort of back. All right. Well, I would like, so Carol has an agenda item. Carol, if you want to materialize to show, discuss your agenda item, this is a very good time for it. Oh,
Joel's not here
and
either.
Joel has vanished as well. Oh, there's Joel.
Oh, Joel!
Morning.
Good morning.
How is everybody?
Good, good,
So
good.
good.
I enjoyed
Cool.
your social media post on Blue Sky with a picture of, yeah, look at it.
All right,
It's
so
wild.
critical
Wild.
critical question, Joel. Where did you order it from that you got it early?
Probably
Amazon.
They're sending them out early.
Yeah, I knuckled under and got something from Amazon for you.
Aw,
For you.
appreciate that. I don't know if bookshop.org is sending them out yet. Probably not. The
Yeah.
massive conglomerate of Amazon has powers that smaller outfits do not have.
Yes,
So
they do.
they get you your toilet paper and your books, which I suppose you could use for toilet paper in a pinch.
I suppose, you know.
I
I'll wait
thought
till I
it
Not
finish it
very
first, though.
comfortable, though.
yeah,
No,
not very
no.
comfy, no.
A
But
little scratchy.
some books do deserve it. My mother has given me many books over the years, right-wing propaganda books that that have not lasted long in my house. So I didn't use them as toilet paper, but they went in the dumpster. So
Yeah, good for wrapping fish.
yeah, true.
Yeah.
Carol,
Yeah.
what is your agenda item?
It is not nearly as much fun as the other things that have been going on this show, but I was thinking about totalitarianism.
As one
You know,
does these days.
Don't do that. You know,
And
don't.
yeah, I was wondering about, distinctions. I know there's overlap, but there are also reasons that there are different words for them, of totalitarianism, dictatorship, authoritarian, autarky. And I'm just and obviously I was thinking about the Tokugawa shogunate in connection with this. And, so I guess I'd like to have some definition discussion. What
Hmm.
constitutes totalitarianism?
know that I know the answer to this. Do
So,
you?
yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how precise the definition will be, but um, the,
Well, I'm just, obviously what I'm, maybe it's not so obvious. What I'm thinking of is your choice of totalitarianism to describe the Tokugawa government. And part of my reaction to it was because of my ideas of totalitarianism. And because the issue with Tokugawa is also that that government only had control over roughly a quarter of the area that we now think of as Japan. And I had been thinking sort of more about the whole area. And so, anyway, but that's the origin of my thinking.
yeah,
'Cause
so I think the essence of totalitarianism um, is the aspiration and attempt to control everything about people's lives, not um, not merely it is something beyond dictatorship, right?
that's what I
Dictatorship
was
or
thinking that, yeah,
authoritarianism is merely the idea that um, one person is in control and has, in the extreme form, power of life and death. But totalitarianism, uh, you know, goes into the realm of what you're allowed to think, what you're allowed to um, uh, not merely say, but read, what you're, there's a level of invasiveness to
A
it.
lot of work for the
Yeah.
government.
Um, and so the idea um, is that there is an apparatus generally associated with a party. The I mean, it's really a creature of first um, uh, um, the Communist Party of the Soviet Union, and then uh, shortly thereafter by Mussolini. Um, uh, in which the party is everything, right, and controls everything, particularly dominates culture, and I think there's, think of it as a level. So the calling the Tokugawa shogunate totalitarian is mischievous for all the reasons
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
you
No,
that you
I did recognize that.
but I do think it had certain aspirations to control the entirety of society, at least within its jurisdiction, which you were right to point out had major exceptions. But I think, you know, totalitarianisms are relatively rare. You definitely see it in North Korea now, in Turkmenistan. Um, there's a bit of a totalitarian flavor in Eritrea. Um, but you,
I'm thinking there's also something of a totalitarian flavor to the to Japan in, say, World War II, in a context where the government itself had a lot of friction within it. Was nothing like a dictatorship.
yeah, I think
Government
particularly
internally.
in the
On the
second
other
half
hand,
of
they were trying to control everybody's behavior and thought and actions and, on pretty much every level.
it becomes more and more totalitarian as the war goes on, and so look, I think it's one of those words that it's easy to misuse, um and the precise contours of, is X a totalitarian state or not? I mean, certainly Ceausescu's Romania, Hodja's Albania. I mean, these are kind of the prototypes of it. It's easier to do in small states, but there's definitely, Maoism had a lot of totalitarianism to it, as did certainly Stalinism. So it is scalable. I think, the more something looks like 1984, which is the portrait, the iconic portrait of a totalitarian state, something in caricature, but not that much. The attempt to regulate all aspects of your life, or not merely regulate, but define and bring the dictatorship into your house.
I have a little bit of a follow-up question, Carol, if it's okay with you.
Sure.
So, like you, I've kind of been thinking on this topic a fair bit lately because it's getting talked about quite a bit. It's hard not to think about it. And I kind of have a couple of questions that, Ben, I was wondering at some point, maybe give this a minute or two. One, a lot of people are talking about our descent into potential dictator or totalitarian sort of society and how terrified everybody is of it. And I guess my first question is, are they serious? Or are they just like saying it? How realistic a risk is this? And then the backup question is, if they do mean it, and these experts are saying that we are dangerously close to a very dangerous society, well, is everybody got an exit plan? Because if you're really honest, are you getting a back door open for yourself so you can get out of here? Should you? How real is the risk?
I do know people who do have backdoor plans. In fact, I know people that I think are actually in process of putting it through. This is a family who, let's see, the husband father does have, I believe, Canadian citizenship. So does the child. The mother is American. But the father is transgender, and not only that, he's fairly prominent transgender in his area because he's a rabbi.
Yeah, I
And
know people with
their
dual.
visibility, a particular, I know that they're planning on leaving.
I know people with dual who are sort of headed that direction, and then again, people that have specific concerns. I feel like it's, I don't think you have to be terrified of being arrested to be terrified for the direction of things. I mean, this has been a very free society for a long time.
Right.
You're not going to achieve control and, that level of authoritarianism or whatever you want to call it just in short order. You start with certain populations, which is what they're doing, and you start small and you build up to things. The difference is in countries where there's already sort of weak institutions, there hasn't been, sort of rule of law and political space. And then you come in, like Idi Amin, for instance, comes in, has the military, he's has a whole military at his disposal and just comes in like with full, zero restraint violence. Basically, it depends on like how willing you are to use violence and force in a society. And I don't think that we're quite there yet. But yeah, it starts small. So
And I think that, where my I'm I think that we're hitting very real risk of authoritarianism, not wholly dictatorship at the moment. The thing is, Congress and unfortunately the Supreme Court seem to be going in lockstep with him. All right. But also what they're getting away with in dealing with the immigrants is obscene.
Yeah.
yeah,
And it's
And
hard to
the
imagine that, and if they're getting away with it there, the fear is what's to stop them from doing it to non-immigrants, even to citizens, if what
absolutely.
they're
well,
doing
exactly.
is denying a due process right that they actually have,
Yeah, and
right?
the building of camps really catches one's attention.
Exactly. Exactly.
They could put other people in those.
Yeah, they could. I mean,
You
they
don't
could.
have to be, on the list currently
Exactly.
to end
They've
up in
already
one of those.
and
accidentally arrested some American citizens or legal permanent residents, and it's
I mean, that
maybe
looks
they.
really scary to me. They're
Yeah.
building
All right.
great
So
big camps.
and
Good heavens.
I
you
want to
know,
take a different approach to this question.
Okay.
Um, so I don't think, you know, you, you, I think the temptation to describe this as a kind of on-off switch, authoritarianism or not authoritarianism, is a mistake. Um, Much less totalitarianism or
right, I
non-totalitarianism.
don't think we're close to that, to
People jump
totalitarianism.
to uh, an these extreme cases, um, you know, 1933 or North Korea, right? I mean, and there's a lot of reasons to think we are not going there or can't go there, or it would take a huge number of intervening events that are very hard to anticipate in order to go there. Um, I
My
think
thought is I'm sorry, I just was going to say, I think some of it has to do with getting back.
Yeah, so the relevant question, if you think of optimal freedom at one end of a dial and totalitarianism on the other end of a dial, the question is really how much movement are we seeing along a spectrum that we've never been at one end of. We will probably never be at the other end of. And is the movement along that spectrum in the wrong direction or in the right direction? And I think it's very fair to say, number one, there is movement. Number two, it is in the wrong direction. And you can argue about how fast, but it's not a light switch where you suddenly turn on authoritarianism. Even in Nazi Germany, it was not a light switch, right? So it was fast. But it was, a matter of 3 years before the Nuremberg rallies and the Nuremberg laws, right? Or sorry, it was 2 years. And you had to have a night of long knives in there, and you had to have
Crystal
a
Nachten.
well, Kristallnacht is later, but you know, the Holocaust isn't until 1941, 42, or 39, depending on how you count it. And so I think these things do take time, and there are lots of examples, most recently Poland, of societies that go considerable ways down that road, not that far down that road, but into authoritarian spaces and then come back. And so I think thinking about the endpoints is actually, this is my argument with Tim Snyder, that Tim Snyder jumps to a word, authoritarianism, and then tells you how to resist it, as though all authoritarianisms are the same, and as though the process by which you get from here to there is a matter simply of resistance versus um, obeying in advance. And I think we should have more respect for our society than that. That is,
Well,
there
I'm
are
losing it.
what's that?
Yeah, yeah.
I
I'm more, I think,
losing our respect for our
No,
society.
but no. At the same time as you say that, you're doing one thing a day. we spent the early part of this show talking about a whole bunch of Texas legislators who up and left to deprive the legislature of a quorum. In an authoritarian state, you don't get to do that, right?
Sure, for sure.
Um,
But it's
Which
like, yeah,
which kind of gets me to the center point of my question. And Ben, I absolutely 100% agree here. The problem is that this is a frog boiling situation. When do you know to get out of the water? That's the question. Because it is like a dial slowly getting turned in a direction, and there's no hard moment that says, okay, that's it, let's go. So how do you know when to get out of the water?
well, I'm not
That's
getting
the
out,
question.
just so we know. They're gonna have to kill me, and I
yeah,
mean that
I don't,
100%.
I don't
Like I
have,
don't even have the strong emotional attachment to living in this place that maybe some others do. Like I would love to up and move to Kenya if they would have me, or South Africa or some other place like that. But I just on the principle of the thing, I say America's not so much my home as my faith. And I don't believe in anything more than I believe in democracy and liberal values and the rule of law as a system for human thriving. And this has been the centerpiece and the pillar and the driver of that for the last 200 years. And they're going to have to kill me. I will die. They are going to have to kill me. And I mean that 100%.
I agree with that. I'm not leaving.
I'm not
Um,
leaving.
and I'm
I'll leave
not,
for like a month or so, just, just for a
For
break.
those that would consider it, how do you know when to go for it?
Well,
You
I
know?
can't answer that
I,
question.
I
Okay,
am gonna
fair
I am
enough.
gonna say that it's not quite like a frog who may not be able to feel the difference, right? With people, it's gonna depend on how tolerant you are of the heat, and it's an individual balancing. I think that one of the things that is difficult in this situation is that people do start going to Nazi Germany because um, that was the one that threatened most people, either who are here or everybody knows them, or it's easier to relate to than say Stalin or even Mao. But the thing is, it's not the real fear that I have, that I think is somewhat more realistic than that, is Hungary,
Sure.
is the Orban model. And I think that we don't have to go as far as all of that to get to Hungary. And the attempted redistricting of Texas, which is resistible but maybe not stoppable, is one of the things that will get us there,
Yeah,
right?
so
Because what we will have is what the fear, and the basis of the fear is, yeah, and all of this is stuff that I'm still just thinking through, but I'm just trying to get it out there, is that the extent to which the Republicans have been able to maintain power in the face of having and assert power in areas in which the large majority of the population is against them, right, are the kinds of things that make the Orban scenario more thinkable, right? My reaction to the election results, literally, was I felt like I had gone to sleep in America and woken up in Hungary.
okay.
And
Um,
maybe I am exaggerating. Goodness knows is the kind of situation that leads one to, but that's where I am.
no, I think Hungary is a plausible model. There are reasons to resist the Hungary model. Number one, Hungary is a very small, for the same reason that I resist the Finland model in all kinds of other areas. It's roughly the same size. Um, it's non-federal. It's, a sort of, it's a little bit like, Nebraska, um, and uh, the United States is way bigger, way more federal, way more diffused power. So I think you can overstate the Hungary model, but it is a plausible model. Um, I think Poland is a better model because it's a gazillion times the size, like 60 million people or something. It's also a fairly centralized state, but it's less centralized than Hungary. And it is more dynamic in terms of its politics. Um, so I think there's um, uh, I think there's uh, a lot to be said for these different conversations, but I would say my big caution is don't start with totalitarianism.
Oh,
Start
absolutely.
start
I,
with
I
Right.
have no
it
I have
is
no argument with that. I don't see that happening here.
all right. Poland is 36 million people. Sorry. That's significantly smaller than I thought. Somehow the chat got onto a big conversation about FISA 702, and somebody named Kate seems to know a lot about 702. If y'all want to have, I assume that's not Kate Klonick, but if y'all want to have a serious conversation about 702, I am happy to do that anytime. Suffice it to say that Kate is almost entirely correct in the chat in her characterizations of it. She is also correct that I was the subject of incidental collection in a fashion that benefited me a fair bit. Um, and so it's a complicated subject. I got a warning from the FBI about presumably Russian attempts to hack me that was couldn't almost certainly could not have come from something other than 702 collection. So happy to discuss it anytime. We are going to leave it there, folks, because we're already 2 minutes over. You are all great Americans. May and other things, may you have superior days.